Hello and welcome to today's episode of 3D Drawing for Your Model Railway. In today's episode I'm looking to get the jib started. So we're working in this area here. We've already created our new component for it, so it's just going to be a case of working from there, trying to flesh out the main part of the body. So before we start on doing that, I'm going to go back up to the upper level and check the radio box on this, so that I can then create a mid-plane to draw the jib on. So again, we're using the mid-plane tool over on the construction up here, and we're going to create that mid-plane off of the, cancel that. We're going to create it off the mid-plane point between these two sides of the body. And I've done it in this top level so that we can still access it while we're in the jib section. So if we come now down to create the crane jib, select the radio button here, we can now create a sketch using that mid-plane that we've just created. Okay, so as we discussed in the last lesson, we're going to have to extend the length of the jib. So we moved the sketch across, so this end of the jib is going to be correct and the extension is going to be within this part here. So to create this, we're going to be using the line and the spline tool. So I'm going to start off with this top line here. I'm going to try and draw this line as accurately as I can to start with. I'm going to go past this top point here because that's a rounded off surface looking at the plan. Click on OK there. If we look at the photos of the jib, that is a rounded off surface there, so I do want it to go beyond the length at that point. So now we'll create another line. So you can see there's the jib coming up there. Try not to get confused with all these wire lines that are coming along here. We're going to start at this point and we're going to cross and intersect at the top there. Okay, and then I can use my trim tool just to get rid of those top two sections. Okay, not sure why that's come up with that error because they're still joined. Turn that off and we'll use the fillet tool here just to create a rounded top surface there. 2mm looks about okay. Okay, so the next thing is down here. Again, this looks like it's slightly off angled, so we'll do that. We'll go beyond the point that we need at that point there. Click on OK. And now what we're going to have to try and do is create a bit of an arc here. So I'm going to select the point on this line that I think that we can line up with. I'm going to do it in two sections. So there's one, and hopefully that's at the same angle. That snaps. Yeah, you can see how the parallel, the double blue lines are coming along there. Again, we'll just draw that up and beyond the point we need it, and click on OK. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is look at this point here. So you can see that the jib comes in and just slots into that area there. So we're going to create a line from that top point here. And again, remember what we said, we're not going to follow this. If we followed this, we'd be stopping about this point here, and obviously still be short. So we're going to come in and we're going to be high where we need it. So probably about that position there. I'm going to make sure that I'm at 90 degrees. So you can draw the bottom line first. I'm going to create another line from. Okay, I'm going to do this in two again. So first one. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that because then it won't be at the right angle. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start at this end. So come down here. I've selected the corner that we've just drawn off of, snapping it to 90 degrees. I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to draw it across to join up there. Now that looks a bit on the thin side. So what I might do is I might extend this point. I'll turn the body off so we can see. Yes. Again, let's turn the body off again. Get that to snap into that corner. Turn the body back on. That's snapped to that corner, that's why I've done that one. Let's try that again. That's why it's looking thin. So, what's going on here? What's that big line there? Turn that body off. Turn the chassis off. I thought we saw something weird there. Let's turn them off. There's a circle. Don't know why it's done that. Weird. Okay, the body back on. Let's put that back how we had it. And then draw that line across like that. And I'm looking for this point here so we can overlap like that. And then we can trim that part off and that part off. Okay. What we might have to do is change this end a little bit in a minute, but that's given us a good starting point. This needs to be rounded off, so if we select that point in the middle there and just round that band, that's 22.5mm arc there, and we also need the same fillet in fact let's trim this a little bit off the corner, and then we'll put a fillet in on the corner like that. See it matching the drawing there, it's 1.25mm on the radius. Is this arc curve in there? So let's just have a look at the sketch. Nope, that's an arc, that's an angle. Curve there across the top straight, curved up. And that goes in. Okay, so we've now got that shape. We're going to do an extrusion and it's going to be symmetrical. We're not worrying about this wagon to start with, we're looking for the width on this side here. We can use the sketch here. Turn that one off actually. So we've got a clear view of what we're looking at. 4mm is probably a bit too big. So 3mm. Oops. Turn the wrong way. So this here is the side of our frame that we're looking at. So probably looking at about 3.5mm. That'll give us some lateral play within the body there, and we've got some room at the back for it to slide in and out if it needs to. Okay, I'm going to go with that, and obviously it's creating a new body in the jib. Click on OK. Okay, so we've now got the basic shape of the crane sorted. Let's turn off the crane body and the runner, so we're just left with the jib shape. And then if we turn on the profile picture looking directly down, we're going to have to move this image and try and manipulate it around so that we get to something that's sort of where we need it to be. So actually, if we just have the run on for a second, does this all line up? Let's try it. So if we edit the canvas and we're going to drag that down. Okay, so it's not going to line up there. That looks like it's roughly in line with the midpoint. Maybe needs slightly up. So let's try minus 28.5. No, that's way too much. 29.5. turn the plane on, that should get, oh there you go, that's pretty much spot on. Okay, so that's that direction, and I'm going to move this direction. Okay, so this point here, these two little lugs here are what mounts in the bottom of this arc here. So we are going to move it a little bit more to the right hand side, so 5.5. There we go, that's pretty much spot on there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is look at the width here actually a second. Let's just have that body on. Yeah, we're going to have to look narrow at this point here to be able to fit within the body, even though our body is the correct shape. This could be because this plan up the top here might be for the steam version, which was, as we said, that was wider. Peculiar. Okay, so I'm going to create a offset plane coming up from there, and then we can draw this outline and then extrude that. So if let's create an offset plane. In fact, cancel that. Let's just draw on the origin because it's above it. So we're going to draw on the flat origin there. Get a sketch on there. We are going to split this and then mirror it across. I think that's going to be the best option. So if we use the line tool, we can find the point. Let's go like this, and we're going to turn that crane body off, and I'm going to extrude that to about that point there. I'm going to tell that to snap to that edge, define the distance from the end so that it doesn't move. 12.75, and I'm going to snap with coincidence constraint that to that face there, and I'm going to define the distance from that edge as 1.6. Okay, and then the next thing I want to do is just create like a small rectangle up the top here. And we've now got this that we can extrude and cut down off the side of the jib. Now obviously that's only done one side, we need the other side to be exactly symmetrical. So what we can do, we know we've got the midpoint here. Okay. If we go back on our feature and change this to one side, click on OK, all we then need to do to get the other side correct is mirror that body on that plane. Mirror on the plane. So we've now got both sides being symmetrical, which is great. That's exactly what we're after. So the next thing we can do is do something similar. If we come back before the mirror point, and then we can draw in all these cutouts. Where I think the extension on our jib is, if we look at our body, this goes all the way. The extension on our jib is going to be on this end here. All the rest of it is going to be the same. So if we draw all these holes that cut through in exactly the same position, and we'll cut this hole, and then the extension part will be mainly in this area here, because this obviously is the end of the the body there. Okay, so let's start to draw these holes. So create a sketch. We're going to use the origin again. We can start to. I'm going to use rectangles initially, and then we can round the corners off afterwards. So coincidence that onto that base. Do the same here. Now it's going to snap to that line, okay, because we've got the projected line at that point. I'm just going to go along all the way along these and just snap these on. You can see how these are slightly angled in on some of them, so potentially they're all angled in, so that's not a difficult fix. Just make sure that this needs to be a little bit longer, this whole face needs to come down. No, I don't want to define it, I want to drag that line down. I'm making sure the lowest point is on the end here, and then I'm going to parallel these lines up to this one in a second. Okay, now what I might be able to do is go from that corner there all the way to this corner here, and if they intersect, okay, yes they do, they cut out the angle which matches, so I can then parallel that line to that line. Okay, so this needs to come down a little bit. Just to make sure that we're inside a corner. Same with that one, just dragging it down slightly so it's beyond that corner. That one's okay, that one's okay, and then two okay. Okay, good. Now if we use the fillet tool, we can then select the line that we've got parallel to that top surface. 0.7 looks okay, so I'm going to go with that. And then I'm going to do the same on this, all of them all the way up, so that to there, 0.7. Just got rid of my line, didn't want to do that. We can delete this line now. Okay, we're going to have to draw the line again. I'm going to flick from end to end to see if it doesn't delete the whole line as I go along. That's a pain. Okay, let's just delete these. We'll just keep drawing the line. So I don't think a construction line will work. You can try it. Come to that point, turn that into a construction line. Just got to go back and draw the lines in on all of them. Taking the construction lines away. Snap to the wrong line then. Delete that. Bit of a pain to get it to select the one you want. There. Yes, that's that one. Okay, we'll snap that corner. Stay on the construction line. Snap to the construction line. That did. Let's try again. There you go. Okay, so now we should be able to extrude these 6 cutouts. And we just drag that all the way through. Make sure we go all the way through the body there. Tell it to cut. Again, if we just flick the mirror back on, you can see how we're starting to get the shape of what we were after. If we have a look at the pictures, let's see if we've got a decent picture of the top down of the jib. Probably the most difficult picture to find actually is one that looks down on the jib or even up at it directly. I haven't got any amongst the ones that I can show you, but I do have a picture that has a pretty much a straight on one, because I think it was at Ashford Open Day, I think there was one, and they were doing a lifting demonstration, and the picture is pretty much with the jib almost vertical. Okay, so we've got a hole on the end here to draw now, so if we turn the canvas back on, okay, so these ones, I want them to go through at roughly the right angle for going all the way through at 90 degrees this top surface. So I'm going to create a sketch this time on this surface so I can draw these end 3. So I'm drawing it off of this face here. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool initially and then fill it off the corners. Just drawing roughly where the box is, and then round off those corners. Actually, I want to go a little bit less than that. Probably about 0.85 on there, so on that corner. I'm going a little bit less so that this is a little bit of straight section in the middle here rather than being curved all the way to the edge. Okay, next one. Again, it's just another rectangle. This one's a lot more rectangular, less of a curve shape in the corners. Yeah, maybe 0.5 looks okay there. This one goes all the way through to the end, so again using that rectangle tool. Not worried about the end bit here because it's going to be cutting it all the way out. So I'm going to go 0.5 on there, I think that looks okay. And then extrude these through. And then because we drew on the surface here, when I extrude these, it will go at 90 degrees to that surface. But if I did it off of the origin, how I've done the other ones, it would end up with them coming down at an angle. And it's more pronounced here. Here it's doing the same thing, it's coming down through these at an angle, but it's less pronounced, whereas this one would be really, really bad. Okay, and then we've got the one on the top to do. So again, we use the origin surface for this to cut through square. It's a bit of a weird shape on here. So it's not going to snap to that corner initially, so we'll just drag it out like that. Coincidence that corner to the side there, the edge. And then lengthwise I've got that right. I'm just going to drag that side down, you select the whole side to drag it down, and then I want fillets. I'm going to fillet this corner. 0.5 looks okay on that one. This one looks like it might be a bit more than that. Yeah, about 1 on there. Okay, select that, and then extrude it all the way through. See the whole thing. And cut, so there we go. So that's that done. And the end of the jib cut there. One more to do down the bottom here. So let's turn off the crane body so we can see what we're looking at, and we'll create a sketch on that inside surface. I'm going to do this one rectangular rather than diagonal to the end because we're not going to the width of the drawing. I'm just going to do something like that, and I'm not going to go to the end because I want a bit of strength on this end part here. I'm going to define the distance and the width as 1mm on both sides. Oops. That's not what I want to do. Let's delete that constraint. Let's see, try again. So the corner to that corner. 1mm. Fill it off the corners just so they look rounded and match these. And yeah, I think 1mm on those curves looks okay. Extrude this again downwards. Cut all the way through. Okay, so there's our basic shape of the grip, of the jib. I'm going to come back, leave this on this point here for this lesson. I'm going to come back on the next one and we'll start adding some more details on. So I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to make sure you're notified of new uploads.